know that there is hurt in our hearts, but we know that there is joy in our lives because we know where Danielle has gone. Because for those of us who knew her, know that she is and was a woman of faith, a woman of God, a woman who believed in family and town. And Mayor Brown is right. We met when we were 12 years old. My god sister Stephanie Hairston is here. And when I look around, I don't see any strangers. I see a family. I see a community that Danielle loved. She came to us from California when she was 12 years old. She moved here. I always say thank you to Miss Sandy for allowing the city mice to come down to be with us country mice and to make a positive change, a change that would have culminated here today with historic moments. We're in a Rosenwald school. You can see the mural. We're in the old colored school, a school that was for the black students, a school that was a time when we were a segregated community. But when you look at this community now, you see unity, you see friendship, that we are all in this together in protecting our community. And Danielle was a huge part of that because when she came here, she was a person who was dedicated absolutely to being friends with everyone. You know, she had a discerning spirit, but she said everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves an opportunity. And she is a woman who did love her children so dearly. They were her pride and joy, Anthony and Amani. And Anthony is going to be a father again. She was expecting her second grandchild and could not have been happier. She had her first grandchild, Eli, 18 months ago. Her daughter, Amani, is 18 and graduating from high school this year from our alma mater, South Stokes. So Danielle had a fulfilled life. She had a full life. You know, she went to North Carolina A&T after we graduated from South Stokes in 1992. And how many of us in here went to South Stokes High School? Several of our classmates are here to thank and celebrate Danielle. Johnny Harrison is here, who was in our class. Caroline was in our class. Christine, our librarian, in our class. This is how our community stays together and stays strong. And this is what Danielle loved about our community, that people would stay and be invested to raise their children, to say, this is a place I believe in, a place that I want to make better. Because she was not defined by the last year of her life or her illness. You know, I shudder to say that we are 45. You know, I'm hoping everyone is saying, 45, really? Yeah, no, but that is how old we were. And so we had spent time together, you know, on the Little League fields at Brook Cove. She loved going to soccer games, signing her children up for activities. She was on the first board of the Walnut Cove Wildcats and was our first treasurer. She served on the board of directors of Stop Child Abuse Now, SCAN, one of my favorite charities, now known as PATH. She and I spent many years together on that board because she had a heart for children. Because she, after leaving North Carolina A&T, got her certification in early childhood development, because that is a career path blazed by her mother, Miss Sandra Thomas, who is here today. She loved children and educating children. She took pride in education. She pushed education and hard work. She was encouraging to everyone that she met. And so in the many years before she was diagnosed with cancer, she had been working in this community as a volunteer at the Little Folks Festival that they always had at Walnut Cove. She was a consistent volunteer there, a consistent volunteer at our parades, and someone who took part in the community events. She did not just come into working for our town in the last year, but she had always been doing something meaningful. In addition to that, she was someone who helped out with the sick. She helped people who could not read their mail. She was someone who would reach out and help in any way she could. Even when she was sick, she sat with me while my grandmother was sick and dying at the nursing home. If you can imagine that woman having an Optune cap and yet making her way to sit with me for my grandmother. And when they took my grandmother to the hospital in the middle of the night, Danielle got in her car against my wishes and was there at 10 and 11 o'clock at night to sit with my grandmother because she felt like she was her grandmother too. And that has been the blessing of the unification she brought to our families, because I have a second mother in Miss Sandy. I have another sister in Michelle, a brother-in-law in Paul, nieces and nephews in Paul and Kayla, and that our families have celebrated probably 15 or 20 Thanksgivings, Christmas Eve. Miss Sandy taught us about really celebrating on the eve before Thanksgiving, and that we should be celebrating on Easter. And that has been the best thing that has happened, is that I found a sister in her when she came here when she was 12, and that my mother found a best friend in her mother, that our lives became intertwined because of her spirit and her love and her generosity. This is the place where after she got married, that she raised her children, where she put her children in school. She did not leave. Although she was doing wonderful at American Express and BB&T, and anytime she went to work anywhere, she moved up. She never moved. She stayed here to be close to her mother, to her family, because she knew the value of family, because at the end of the day, that is what you can count on. And this town became her family, so that in the last year of her life, instead of being at home or being worried, she cast her cares unto the Lord. She lived by faith and not by sight, and defied odds, because I can tell you, being at the hospital with her in 2009, and the doctor saying you might have 3 or 4 months, 6 months if you are lucky, but instead we had more than 9 years. That is the grace of God, and that is what we took it as. A gift. And knowing when you have a gift was a gift, because we gave her her flowers when she was here. Miss Sandy and I and Johnny and Stephanie, we spent time with Michelle having a party for Danielle. And she said, I didn't know y'all were going to do all of this. Where we all got up and told her how we felt about her in life. When we celebrated, we made sure that we were together on Saturdays. When it was sunny outside, we made sure we walked into Just Plain Country, that we walked into Miss Oma's when the store opened up, that we were part of the community. And this community allowed our friendship to flourish, for us to develop a true prayer circle of women to rely on, so that we cried, we wept, but that is for our loss. That is because we won't see her here on earth again. But what we know is that we have memories that will last, and that we know that we can see her again, that we believe that we will see her in heaven if we are lucky and we are worthy. But when I think of her accomplishments, it's not just what we're here to celebrate tonight, but the true love she had in her heart for her friends, her family, her community, from her great nieces and nephews, but mostly to her mother, to her children. And I want to always know that that legacy will be here, that she is the first African-American woman to be elected town commissioner, to serve this community that once was divided by Jim Crow, that is now united. Everyone from federal judges to district attorneys to other politicians, they all knew Danielle. She went anywhere I asked her to with me as my +1. And so they would all be touched by her spirit. I think about when we were campaigning for Judge Langan and how thrilled she was to be able to vote for him, and how responsible she was about her civic duties, and how she was out there registering voters in 2008, 2012, 2016, that she's always been community and spirit minded. So she felt so blessed to be thought of by you all, to be elected as a town commissioner, to serve you all, that was a heart of service that she maintained until the end. And so I'd like for her family to come up, so that the love that we would have given to Danielle, that we can give to her mom and her sister and brother. And her mother's name is Sandra Thomas, followed by her sister Michelle Motley, and her brother-in-law Paul Motley, and her niece Kayla Motley, her nephew Paul Allen Motley, and her stepdad Mr. Henry Thomas. I mean, this is a family and a people who will miss her forever, but treasure the time that we did have and be grateful for those 45 years. So on behalf of their family, we say thank you.